morning, everyone. Welcome and thank you for not being overly confused by the fact that we're still going to have these Friday webinars. And thank you for being in attendance. Again, we'll make a decision after this call as to whether or not there'll be one next week. I suspect there will. And then there won't be another one until after the July 4th holiday and the conference weekend, which is immediately following. So we won't have one again until the middle of July. But I just wanted to make sure I touch base with all of you that are here and take you through what is going to become the beginning of a new format for these calls. Here's what we're going to talk about. This is literally a work in progress. I was adding things to this slide deck up to 30 seconds before I hit share. And even then, I can tell you that I'm going to have to fine tune it when it's all done. So you'll see a link for the replay after the call, along with all the attachments. You might want to check out to see what's new, especially in the attachments, in that they weren't able to be included, but they'll be included on the replay of the call. Here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to pick up from last week. Sharon brought up an interesting topic on our last call, and it bothered me ever since she did, and I wanted to address it, only because she deserves a more thorough answer than I gave her. And we're going to talk about that as far as part of the things that are most current, so that we can address these things as they're happening and you can get them in real time. Her issue, for those who don't remember, was how to sell or how to offer an extended care policy to an older client when the premium becomes so expensive. Well, as soon as she asked that question, she manifested it in the universe. And sure enough, I had two clients in a row that fit that exact category. And I saw what I did, and I wanted to make sure I shared that with everyone, especially you, Sharon, so you could see exactly how I handled it, and then see if you can incorporate that into what you're doing. I want to talk to you a little bit about the aging conference. There's lots of things happening literally by the hour. I'll get you up to speed on that. I'm going to stress with you the call on Tuesday with Andy. We're going to talk about a brand new lead program, a no-cost lead program to you, or it's no cost for the leads, at least to you, and what's that's going to mean for you. Some news you can use. And again, there's no calls on Saturdays for the rest of the summer, so don't worry about tomorrow's call. And we'll answer any questions that you might have. I expect these calls will be shorter in duration than the calls in the past have been. My guess is somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes in total. But again, as I said, it's a work in progress, and we'll make it happen as the summer unfolds here. Okay, let's get started. So the follow-up from last week was that Sharon said, what do you do that the premium becomes so expensive once you get into your upper 70s and certainly into your 80s? The premium becomes so expensive for extended care products. And what do you do to help sell that? Well, sure enough, as I said, I had two clients in a row, both in their upper 70s, and their premiums, when we figured it out the way they wanted to originally figure it out, were somewhere between the $8,500 and $10,000 a year range. So very high, especially for an extended care product. So the question of affordability came back into mind. And first and foremost, I want to stress to everyone, affordability is your key component when you're working with someone, is to make sure that this is a program they find to be affordable, not only now at the time of their application, but even later if they expect that their income is going to change in some way, or their earnings off their investments are going to change in some way. If they ever get to the point that they don't think the policy is going to be affordable, they're going to have to want to make changes to the coverage, and you want to design it so that it is affordable from day one, or else they're not going to keep it. So if you want to be able to get the full benefit of having helped these people with a policy, you've got to design an affordable policy right from the start. So now you get hit with a premium that shows them the kind of plan that they want, but it's $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 or more a year for them to have it, and that simply isn't affordable. So the first thing I did with the clients that I was working with was I went back and we revisited the earnings on investment formula, what their interest on savings, how much monies they were bringing in off the money they already had invested. The cardinal rule has got to be that you never want to touch principal. You never want to touch their savings. If they can't pay for this plan through their income or through their earnings on their investments or their interest on savings or any of the other things that we talk about and how to help them, you cannot touch their savings. The whole purpose of the plan is to protect that savings. And when they hear that that's your approach, they're immediately going to trust you that much more that the advice you're giving them is for their best benefit and not in order for you to make a higher commission. So remember, you're an interviewer, field underwriter. I know it's hard at times to stay in that role, but it's not something made up. It's who you really should be. And in the role of an interviewer, field underwriter, you're their advocate. So you need to first get them back in the mindset of understanding that you're not going to touch principal. And the only way you want to design a plan is if they think it makes sense to use a portion of the monies they're earning on their money to protect all their nest egg by putting a plan in place and still not make it so it's not affordable. So that, again, they can afford it comfortably and not have to make decisions of whether or not they're going to eat or whether or not they're going to get an extended care policy, right? So you've got to position yourself in that field interview or field underwriter program and get back to reminding them what kind of monies they got coming in off their investments. They know it, but they don't think about it until you bring it to their attention. Your cardinal rule is you don't touch principal. You don't touch savings. You don't touch any of the things that you're trying to protect. And when they hear that from you, then they'll be more receptive to your message as to how do we design something that's affordable. I'll tell you what happened with these people too as we go along. Second, you got to establish what they want to have happen when they get their care. This is something very few people do before they ever speak to you. They haven't really thought much about what they want to do. And now's the perfect time for you to put them in that position for them to share with you what they actually want to have happen when they get their care. If they're a single person, it's probably going to be far different than if they're a married person. They're living with a support system in the house. So you got to find out what they're thinking. Remember, men don't think this is going to happen to them ever, unless they're already sick. They don't think this is ever going to happen to them. It's always going to be somebody else. A woman does believe this is going to happen to her, that her husband's going to pass. She's going to be left on her own. She's not going to have the same support system he had because she doesn't have her. And as a result, they're going to have to consider facility care faster because they might need the kind of support that a facility can bring them. And again, that's the way it is. Now, all the emphasis in the care business is on home care. So all the progress is being made in improving people's ability to get home care. And nobody's going to tell you they want to go to the nursing home. Nobody wants to go to a nursing home. No, I don't care what. No one wants to go to a nursing home. All right. They're not sitting around, can't wait to get to that nursing home. That's not the reason they're getting the policy. They're getting the policy because they want to avoid the nursing home. But that doesn't mean it's practical. And you have an obligation to your client to make sure that they know that if they're going to need care and they don't have a support system around them, they're going to have to be open to going to an assisted living facility or a memory care unit or some kind of facility that can provide them with the kind of attention and coverage that they're going to need. When you talk truth to them, they're going to respect you that much more, and they're going to respect your position as an interviewer, field underwriter that much more. So again, this is not a game we're playing. This is the truth. That's the value that you're bringing them, right? And then ask them to talk to you about what they would like to have happen. Now, if you're working with an older client and you sense that they're not that far away from a claim, but they can still qualify for the coverage, you want to lead with the OmniFlex product because it's the I'm sorry, you want to lead with something other than the OmniFlex product because the OmniFlex product ramps its benefits up. So until you've had the policy for 5 years, you're not getting the full benefits from the OmniFlex product. By far, the OmniFlex product is the least expensive option of all the extended care products, but that's because the benefits don't completely vest to its full potential until the 5th year. All right. So that's one of the ways Manhattan Life protects itself is that they're not insuring you for the full amount from day one. They're insuring you for 50%, and it moves up until it gets to the full amount by the 5th year. So go to any other product. Wellaby is a good example. They offer you the most in benefits. Go to Aetna. They're the easiest to get qualified for as far as it happens right in front of them, as opposed to having to wait for a response back. You'll know right then when you take the application if they've been approved. But none of that stuff is going to be less expensive than what the OmniFlex product is going to be. There's an email attached to the recording with this call that talks about, in fact, Golden Care is going to run another webinar this coming week about how you can get you can get $1 million worth of coverage for a couple, 55-year-old couple, for $163 a month. You can't touch that anywhere in the traditional long-term care space or the hybrid space. For $163 a month for a couple, you can get $1 million worth of benefits. You'll get that invite. Make sure you attend that if you can go over it, because again, that's the most and best value I know that you can get for your money, right? But in all cases, you've got to demonstrate to your clients that you want them to have an affordable policy. And so you're going to explore with them what's the best way to do that. If they want more coverage, let them convince you, let them sell you on why. Because there's nothing that if you say it to them isn't going to be perceived as you trying to sell them something, versus if they say it to you, they're buying it. And if they're buying it, that's the position you want to be in. That's when they're going to see you as their advocate and their confidant and the person they want to go to help them with these kinds of benefits for them in their life. All right. If they tell you they want to stay at home, then focus on the home care. Again, just ask yourself, is it really practical? And if it's not, you got to tell them that. Mrs. Jones, how are you going to possibly stay at home if you're all by yourself? There's going to come a point when you're going to need more attention and time and care. What's wrong with an assisted living facility where you have your own space, your own place, your own private apartment or whatever, but you take your meals in a common hall, you have activities that you can do together, etc. So again, don't be afraid to explore what they really want to have, because I promise you, they haven't really thought about it that much. And you taking them through the exercise will put them in touch with it.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
This is so good. What you were saying is exactly what I came to the conclusion.
Good.
Now, one thing I want to point out is the Wellness product is home care based as a start. You do not have to buy the facility. So if you think that you're going straight home care, look at the Wellaby. But they're more expensive, but you don't have to worry about the facility side.
That's true. Well, first of all, good point, Sharon. Second, makes my heart purr that you find this to be helpful, because again, it happened to me. You caused it. You made it happen by bringing up the question, which is a good thing. So to what you just said, all the Manhattan Life has a standalone home care program. Aetna has a standalone home care program that has nothing to do with the facility care, and they are less expensive. So you can explore those things, and you can sell them sometimes in unison with each other. I personally have an OmniFlex policy on myself and a standalone home care product from Manhattan Life on myself. So again, there are times when both policies, because they pay out separately, they pay out regardless of whether or not the other one's paying or not. You can use them to fill in the gaps during the restoration period. There's lots of argument for that, but almost everybody has a standalone home care product now. So make sure you check the portfolio and it's a great point you made, that you make sure that you find what's the best coverage for them. It's usually easier to qualify for and less expensive to qualify for the standalone home care product, just as a point of reference. Everything, as I said, is being invested in the future of care in this country in the home care side of the business. Facilities continue to be under enormous stress. The states are not granting any new building permits. You're going to find it harder and harder and harder to get Medicaid to help you with in facilities because again, that is the expense of it, and they just can't afford it. And they're not going to let people continue to see that as their cheap or free long-term care insurance policy. First of all, you wouldn't want what they're going to give you anyway. But second, even if you did, you're not going to want to be at the mercy of the government's rules, because again, you have to go what they're going to consider the minimal level of care if you're going to be dependent on the government to pay for it. Helping your client articulate what they want to have happen is critical to you coming together on a plan, you becoming their advisor to the plan. Again, when you know their savings, their interest on savings and their earnings, you have a ballpark in where this could be affordable. Either use the 1% rule, which is whatever their total savings are, take 1% of that, and make sure it's below that, your premium's below that, and you shouldn't have a problem. Two, if you can figure out what their earnings are on investments, and it doesn't have to be exact, but if they say they had $500,000, they're earning 5%, they got $25,000 coming in, you're going to be able to design a plan for way, way, way under that. And that's what you want to aim for, is that that they're not going to spend their money to buy the plan. Then again, in the case of the people that I worked with this last weekend, Sharon, they talked themselves back up. We went from $148 a month plan to a $339 a month plan, not because I sold it to them, but because they talked themselves up to the fact that they wanted it to have equal benefits for both facility care and for home care. So
Hey, Mark,
they talked themselves up to it. Yeah, go ahead.
My situation was my 82-year-olds had a standalone policy. It's just the big rate increase. With your couple you were working with, did they have a standalone, and did you keep the standalone and marry it with the short term?
Yes. One of the people did. One of the wife had a standalone, but the husband was not able to qualify for it. So when she applied for the standalone, so we put together a plan that complemented. But what we did, Sharon, and we brought this up before for everyone else on the call, is that we froze the standalone plan, this traditional long-term care plan that they already had, without the rate increase at the benefit levels they were at. And in fact, in one case, we actually reduced their premium by taking away the inflation rider going forward. That dropped the price on the traditional plan by enough that we then took the monies that they saved, and without spending any additional premium, just redirecting it toward this extended care policy, they were able to have the same premium as they were paying before, and now have two cash paying policies to complement the long-term care plan they presently had in place. That's what you want to do. There's lots of ways you can do it. Again, if you're going off a rate increase, I have yet to find a person who doesn't love the idea of being able to freeze the plan where it's at, take the benefits, leave them. They'll probably have more than enough than they're going to need for traditional long-term care from that plan, and then add in these cash paying plans that can come in from day one and help them out um, with the expense and costs involved in getting them care. That's one. Two, all of you that are in the Medicare side, using Medicare Advantage, we're going to talk about that some more on this call too, but also using Medicare Advantage that doesn't have a premium to it gives them a chance to save monies from the use of their Medicare supplement and use that money to be able to pay for this. So again, they're not spending more money than they wanted to or that they think is affordable. And again, clients are more than willing to spend the money to get something if they think that what they're getting for it is a much better use of their investment, of the monies they're spending. They all want to know how they can spend their money smarter. And that's how you attack this. You're not going to get somebody that's all of a sudden going to say, yeah, I can afford $9,000 more a year to do this. No, you gotta find ways to work with them to make sure that the coverage they want is prioritized, but between that and the money they spend. And so just be smart about how you do that, but most importantly, that you position yourself as their advocate, as their friend, as their uh, person that's in their life to help them solve these problems, not someone who's looking to sell them something, and not someone that's more concerned about the product that you're selling them, but more about what's going to happen to them when they need care. If you do that, you're well on your way to being able to save these cases. So Sharon, I want you to know you were in my thoughts a lot because I was bothered by how I left you with that message, and I wanted to make sure that I looked at it further. And sure enough, the universe brought me two examples of people that needed just that kind of advice and consent. And when I did, or when we did together, they were very happy with their decision. Okay. Okay. As far as addressing when you have someone that's too high, um, when they tell you that premium is too expensive, and they're not going to tell you that most of the time. That's not something they're going to want to admit to per se. But if you can get them to say, hey, look, if they're not moving forward, there's a reason. And I promise you that reason is almost always sticker shock. That's almost always, it's more expensive than they thought it was going to be. And I'm the more you can focus on making sure it fits into what they think is an affordable expenditure, the much more likely you're walking away with, and they're keeping the policy that you helped them with. Right. So when you're addressing higher premiums, you got to look for where the monies could be. And in some of the things they have that might have been appropriate when they got it, but it no longer are, and that they can save the money and use it toward this. I know I'm singing to the choir here. I know that you guys get this because you do it all the time, but you got to remind yourself not to get too taken off track by the fact that the client thinks it's too expensive without looking for ways to find the way to make it more affordable. When you're helping a person and they're telling you that, look, staying at home is what's most important to them, then minimize the facility care and load them up with the home care so they feel like they got that itch scratched. On the other hand, if you're talking to someone who thinks that it's the facility that's going to cost them all the money and they can handle it at home, especially since they have each other, then use the best benefits you can get them on the facility care, because that's where they're most exposed. The facility care is always going to be, not always, but almost always going to be more expensive than a home care, especially if they have a caregiver, because you can subsidize the caregiver's duties with the person that you're bringing in to give the home care. Just focus on the things that are going to help the client get what they want. At the same time, making them realistically see what their real risk is. And if it's at home, then you got to emphasize that. And if it's at the facility, you got to emphasize that. One of the things that we're going to get into as this call unfolds here is, again, why it's more important than ever that they see you as their solution to everything that has to do with what's going to happen when they need care as they age. And that means that you've got to fill in the gaps for them. I heard Alita sent to me, and I'm going to send it to all of you, a article that talked about the fact that Medicare Advantage is going to be under enormous pressure going into this new year. There's going to be, first of all, in the Medicare supplement side, there's going to be rate increases on the products that have come out from before. The state, they've done some internal surveys, and what they've learned is that if they start charging for Medicare Advantage, then people aren't going to get it as frequently as they are presently. And if they're not going to get it, then that's again another expense that's going to end up falling on the state. The states can't afford to have that happen. So but what they said to themselves, what if we charge something as little as $10 a month to have a Medicare Advantage policy? Well, sure enough, almost half the people that are currently on Medicare Advantage said they wouldn't get it. Silly, I know, it's stupid, but that's what they said. So there's a psychological barrier between charging zero premium and as little as $10 a month. Well, then the only other way Medicare is going to be able to address the benefits that are in Medicare Advantage is to take some of those benefits away, which means that you're going to have to be more savvy in helping them stack policies for them to get the kind of coverage they want. So be aware, be open to it, understand that this is right on the horizon, it's coming, and stacking policies is also going to be the key to your financial success in this profession, because you can't design inexpensive policies that are going to give you meaningful benefits and then turn around and continue to provide those benefits without somehow compensating for that cost. Because one way or the other, that cost is going to fall back on the state, and the states can't afford it. So that's part of what I wanted to share with you. Now, one caveat here. What about younger clients? How about people who are in their 50s and are looking for a plan to address their long-term care? Well, in this case, this is where the real value of the extended care policy can shine. As I said to you, you'll get it on the email that comes out afterwards. There's a webinar this week from Golden Care that says younger clients, a 55-year-old couple can get $1 million of benefits between the two of them that will cost them no more than $163 a month. $163 a month for $1 million. Do the math. Where are you going to be able to $163? What's it? $1,800, $2,000 a year in premium. They're okay. They're 55 years old, so they're going to pay for it for 30 years. Well, they spend $60,000 to get $1 million. I mean, the return on investment is so wise for them that there's no one that's not going to see that. When you show your clients the value that they're getting, not the price, the value of what they're getting, that's what causes people to make a decision to move forward. It's the price. That's why you never answer the question of what's it going to cost before you explain to them and they've shared with you why they think transferring the risk is the best solution. Because if you transfer them, if you share with them a cost, they immediately in their mind go, oh, I can't afford that. When it's not the case, once they understand the value that they're getting for the money. It's amazing how we'll be able to adjust what we think we can budget if we see we're getting real value. And nobody else will be able to take that client away from you if they see that you went the distance for them to make sure they got the maximum value. Again, the stuff we're talking about here, they can't do it without you. Most of the people they're talking to will not be able to provide them with the plans that will show them this much value for that little premium. So play that up, because that's why you're a long-term care, extended care solution specialist. And it's that long-term care, extended care solution specialist program that's going to make you stand out with your clients and want them to get more things from you and want to refer you to their friends and neighbors and relatives and likes because they see what you did to deliver them. So that's what's going to get you the referrals, and that's what's going to get you the additional products, and that's what's going to make your practice that much more lucrative and valuable. All right, I'll get off this soapbox. I'm giving you guys a heads up before anybody else is getting it. Andy just posted this, I think, to just right before this call began because he didn't want me to get ahead of the curve, but that's tough. You're getting the advantages of being part of these calls. He's going to run a call this Tuesday, 10 o'clock, a webinar. Make sure you're on it. He's going to introduce this new lead program that he has been working out with the vendors, the lead vendors that we work with, to provide leads at no cost to you. There's a haircut in the commissions, but there's no cost to you out of pocket. And he's going to be introducing exactly how the program is going to work, what the ads are going to look like, what the mailers and messages are going to look like, and how they're going to get shared. All right. So make sure you tune into his call on June 25th, 10 o'clock, and get all this. Again, he posted this on the Facebook page. It'll be pushed to you by Priscilla today, and the advertising and other things. Click where it says registered now, register for the meeting so you can get all the specifics of it. It's literally being worked out as we're talking, but they are, again, looking for you. What's the matter? Looking for you to say ways for you to be able to participate in this program without having to come out of pocket for anything. Okay. All right. Now, this is the same thing. I'm going to give you some inside baseball stuff right now. If you want to be one of the people that's selected for this program to be in the pilot program for it, we're probably looking for like 5 to 10 people at the most at the beginning. Eventually, they expect to have 60 to 80 people in this program. And it's not going to just be open to anybody. But if you want to be at the front of the line, start thinking today about what you're going to do if you're given the opportunity to be given these leads and work them. If you have a plan, a written plan, and you can submit that after Andy opens it up, which will be after Tuesday, and he shows you the ads and he shows you everything else, and you say, yeah, that's something I want to do, start thinking about how you're going to work those leads when they come in. Because if you have a written plan, you're going to be bumped to the top of the line as for consideration. So I want as many of our people to be in this program as they can. But if you want to, you got to show them that you've given it some thought and you're organized about how you're going to go work the plan. The two key components are, how are you going to get referrals from these leads? Because these leads are just the beginning. They're not the end, all of the things. These are people that are saying, yes, I want more information specifically on extended care. But they're going to be people who you've got to look to get referrals from, because those leads got to multiply into additional opportunities, and you're going to get paid your full commission on anything that comes from outside of this lead program. So any referral is considered from outside the lead program. You want to make sure you make the most of that. And two, you want to be able to show you have a plan for how you're going to stack policies, because if it's through the stacking of those policies that'll make a lead program like this possible. I think Lori is on a cruise this week, but she's I don't think she's on the call. Unless, Lori, are you there? I don't think you are. But if she's an Alaskan cruise, last week though she wrote 5 deals, Manhattan Life extended care deals, if you'll remember. And I checked out her average premium. It was like $1,380 for those policies. Each, when you split the premium she wrote divided by 5, it's not going to be lucrative enough if that's all you're reliant on to be able to drive and make a successful business. You've got to find additional opportunities to make it worth your while and their while to be able to get the very best in products. So already start thinking about a plan, and you'll be way ahead of everybody else because nobody else is having this kinds of heads up in advance of what's coming. Right? So think about those two things and attend the conference, attend the webinar on Tuesday, and Andy will have more information for you then. Let's talk about the conference real quick. As I said, we have 19 sponsors. People are still coming in left and right. There are still perks. There's a perk that came out last week. All right. If you still haven't committed to come, you can get in for 50% off the VIP price. There's the email. Here's the code. Here's how it works. You can still get yourself there. There's well over 100 plus agents in attendance. There'll be well over, uh, again, as I said, 19 different sponsors for you to hobnob with, and lots of ways to share ideas. They have a new guest speaker they got coming in. I can't tell you who it is because I don't know yet, but I know it's a Dallas Cowboy, an ex-Dallas Cowboy player who made a fortune in the real estate business after leaving football. And he's going to talk about how he did that. So again, there's all kinds of things that you're going to find of interest. And just being able to be there and mingle with the fellow agents is priceless. So still take advantage of it. Again, there'll be an attachment with the recording. Okay. Talking about the attachments to this webinar. Let me see if I can stop sharing this and start sharing. All right, so I stopped sharing this. I'm going to come to the attachments themselves. And there we go. Okay, now let me see if I can share this with you. You're not seeing the email itself, are you? So I need to make sure I share the email with you. And so you can see it. And why is it not letting me share? Share. Well, is it going to let me share? Let me see. You're seeing the email that says attachments following this webinar, right? Somebody?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet? Okay, let me see if I can get it to share. I say send link, never mind. Let me go here. Open it up. There we go. Send an update. Here we go, go. Share. Okay. Let me see if I can get this email to send. And calendar, Friday. Where's the email? Here it is. Okay. Now, you seeing it, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So now let me make this larger if I can. All right. So these are the attachments. I'm not going to open them. You can do that. Here's the thing I was just talking to you about. This is the webinar. How would $1 million plan change minds about short-term care insurance? $1 million worth of coverage. Again, $163 a month. Tune into that webinar. They'll show you exactly how they do it. I've included an attachment on here for you to check out that was on last week's email as well. I want you to look at it again if you haven't. It's how to offer ancillary products during open enrollment period. It's coming upon us quickly. We've got 2 months or so to ramp up to it, and then we're going to be right into Medicare side of the business. And this is how you incorporate using in this case, the Wellaby products. Now, the reason I sent it to you again so you could see it is because just this morning, about 5 minutes before this call began, they sent out a link for a how to sell ancillary products through a seminar. So if you use seminar selling at all during your open enrollment period, this will show you how to incorporate the other products into your presentation, and you can use it within your one-on-one interviews as well. So between this webinar, which is a complementary to one last week, I want you to have both so you'll know exactly how to introduce the dental and vision products and the hospital indemnity products and all the other products that you should be including in your conversation. While I was doing the OmniFlex policies last week. I had to come across and kudos go out to Alita and to Sharon and to Cindy and others who over the time have expressed the importance of getting the OmniFlex's outline of coverage. Well, I talked to some of the people internally, and frankly, folks, they didn't know their own product as well as they should. Our people know more about their product than they did, which is sad when you think about it. But at the same time, I asked for a copy of the outline of coverage, so I'm giving you each your own version of it right here, so that when you can be able to look that up and be able to explain anything to any questions that come up about the OmniFlex product. Golden Care has, in addition to the newsletters, to the webinars that they run every week, they have a whole file of past webinars. I put their newsletter on here, their June 17th newsletter, so you can see their library of all these different tools that are available to you. As far as Mutual of Omaha, this is their newsletter for the week. It'll tell you what's the latest thing for you to do. Buddy-ins came out with a newsletter. Again, I think it was Alita that sent me this. I'm going to send it to you. The replay of the Buddy-ins call, all about the importance of explaining the partnership programs in the different states and how the Medicaid program works. Again, Alita, she's listening in, but she can't participate into the call. But she'll get the recording of this call, and we can ask her later for her input. But I know she found it valuable. I listened into it. I listened to the replay, and it was valuable. So if you've had questions about that and you want to stay up to the minute, check that webinar out. There's the discount code if you still haven't decided if you're attending the meeting and you want to be able to attend. Here's another copy of that newsletter for Golden Care. Want to make sure you take full advantage of that, and everything else that you need to have. You guys, I'm depending on you to open these things up. I do not want you to ignore them because I didn't open them and talk to them about you. You need to open them, because that way we can save so much more time and do things much more sales related on these calls. All right, I'm coming out of this and I'm going to go back. Good. We have a nice group today. I'm going to come back to sharing the original slides.
All right. Sometimes those attachments come in like hieroglyphics.
They do? Well, we'll see if we can get that straightened out for you. Let me know if that's the case. Okay. Hopefully it's not. They're not hyper. I open every one of them, so they should be clear when you get them. If you're not getting them, I don't know why it's coming through that way, because they're not appearing that way to me when I send them to you. All right. Let me share this with you. Are you seeing the attachments file this webinar page, Scott? No?
What? Right now, I'm seeing you.
I'm sure you see me. All right. Now, do you see the page?
Attachments following this webinar?
Right. There you go. Okay. So, attachment slideshow from the current slide there. Now, let's continue. These are the kinds of, these carriers are all covered in those attachments. Make sure you open them and read the latest about all these different things. All right. So that's the base of most of our call. I do have a message for you. I want to go over is sort of a new direction that I want to drive these calls in going forward. But is there anybody else that had any observations from the field last week that they want to share? Anybody run into anything that they thought was a worthwhile lesson and a valuable lesson they want to share? Since we don't have our Saturday call anymore, I don't want to lose the ability for you to speak up if you had an experience you think the rest of us can learn from. No? Everybody had a quiet week? I didn't get any business. I know that I got notice of Abe Grunwald's writing a disability policy today for $4,800 and change. I don't know about it. Again, Lori was on her cruise. I don't know anybody else write anything new in the supplemental side or anywhere else within our business that hasn't showed up in the system yet. Please let me know so we can celebrate you. Remember, when you get the emails about these calls, let me know in advance so we can celebrate you on these calls. Anybody have anything? No? Okay. Well, let's talk about something I want to do. I know this is self-serving in a way, but it is. When you heard about my health the other day, I thank you very much, every one of you, who sent me all kinds of, prayers and wishes and uh, blessings for good health and a speedy recovery. I hope that's the case. Frankly, we're not going to know for a little while, um, and probably not until early September. Um, but I appreciate all the good thoughts and everybody expressing that to me. It makes a big difference. But it also made me say to myself, when a person faces their own mortality, they take a whole different approach to what they want to do with what life they have remaining. And I purposely have been wanting to, for a while now, share with you things that I find run contrary to what all the self-help books try to tell you, and all the gurus out there try to tell you about, how you have to live your life and be successful and all the other things that go with it. My personal experience has been that some of that stuff is just not. It sounds good. It feels good. It's like a warm bath, but it gets cold real quick, and it doesn't have the substance to go the difference to go the distance for you for the rest of your life. So maybe you're saying, "Hey, who cares what you think?" And I don't blame you if you do. But at the same time, I don't want to lose the opportunity to pass on to you things I've learned from my lessons in life. And we can talk a little later about what kind of accomplishments. But I've been pretty much self-employed most of my life, either as in the same way that all of you are now, in building a practice and or in a variety of businesses that have over years have made a lot of money. And not that money is the prize, but that if you are dedicate yourself to your profession and you truly look to help people, and as many people as you can with the knowledge and experience that you have, you can carve out a nice little business for yourself and build a practice that can be rewarding for you for the rest of your life. So I certainly made my share of mistakes, and I want to make sure that you are taking full advantage of those mistakes. Like I learned, look, when they happen, it's no fun. It doesn't feel good. And you say, how did I mess that up? Or how did I miss that opportunity? And then you see something emerge from those mistakes that you didn't see coming, and you would not have learned had you not made them. So the mistakes are are again opportunities if you seize upon them right, and if you're open to accepting the message that comes your way. And all of you have a life like that. And I want all of you to look back at your hiccups along the way and say, okay, what was good that came as a result of that? Yeah, maybe it didn't work out financially as well as I wanted, but what did I learn and what did I change and what did I do different that all of a sudden let me be that much better, that much smarter the next time I came across that challenge within my life. And every one of us on this call has challenges. Every one of us on this call has issues that we're dealing with. They're changing all the time. Nobody gets out of this life without not having setbacks and have to pick themselves up and brush themselves off and start all over again. It, it it's just part of the way life works. It's a series of those kinds of challenges. You got to look for that silver lining in all those clouds. You got to look for that pony in all that manure. There is something about the mistakes that you're making that are going to teach you, that are going to prepare you to be better the next time you find yourself there. And if you can take the lesson from it, that will serve you even more than if you had been successful and hadn't made the mistake in the first place. Right? So again, be open to understanding what the opportunities are, and then make the adjustments you need to make. Return to the thing, keep getting up to bat, keep driving your activity, keep giving yourself every opportunity to swing and miss, but then swing and hit, so that when you do hit, you can take that to take your practice to a whole new level, and yourself to a new income level that will allow you to do even more things with your knowledge and experience in this business. You got to be open to the lessons that come. Think about it. Is there a time when you made a mistake that you didn't learn from it? I've made the same mistake more than once. Shame on me. But be open to the fact that you're not alone. It happens all the time. This is not a rocket ship. You're not going to build your practice straight up. It's going to go up and down and up and down and up and down like an elevator or like an escalator. You're going to have ups and downs and ups and downs. And it's whether or not you keep moving forward. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't times when you got to say, all right, not doing that again. I did that, and there's got to be a time when you say, enough. One of my most disturbing challenges right now is how to get more of you to be producing more regularly. I know it's your challenge too. It doesn't make any sense to me. I've run large career shops with several hundred agents writing business every week into the millions of dollars a week. And we have not been able to do that here yet. And there's absolutely no reason. Well, we're in the very beginning of the curve for this extended care. Everybody is coming on board in agreeing that this is the future direction of the profession. And you are on the leading edge of that, making that happen. And being with NAIS and all of its vendors and carriers that they have in their portfolio, which is more vast than anybody else's that I've been able to find, gives you advantages that you're not going to get anywhere else. But it's up to you to seize on it, to take advantage of it, to make the most of it. All right. So again, I just want to open your eyes that I've learned much more from my mistakes than from my successes. It's easy to sit back and rest on your laurels when you're successful. You get hungrier, you get leaner, you get meaner, you get smarter when you are learning from your setbacks. And that's part of the message that I want you to take away from being part of this group, is that we make the most of the potholes we hit in life, and we turn them into our advantage. And that's how we are going to grow our business and grow our practices and grow our group and be the leader in extended care policies as an alternative to the traditional solutions for how people should address their long-term care. The long-term care problem is not going away. People got to help other people solve it. Nobody is better prepared to do that than you. So now we got to make the most of that and figure out what we got to do to make that happen. All right. That's basically the call for today. Be open to the lessons of your mistakes. That's the message I want you to take away from it. There's no call tomorrow. Don't worry about that. You'll look for a message from me early in the week as to whether or not there'll be a call next Friday. Probably will be. And then we won't meet for July 4th weekend. We won't meet for the weekend of the conference. We won't have one of these calls, but we will have a call again after the conference. So if the conference is on the 15th, we'll probably have a call on the 20th of July if we don't have another call this week. I mean this quarter here before the end of the month. All right, so that's where we're at. Anybody have any questions about anything that we talked about today? Comments? Nothing? Okay, well, thank you for being on this call. Again, you'll get the copy of the recording and you'll get all the attachments. So look for that. It takes about an hour for them to get me the rendering of the recording. So look for it probably early this afternoon. All right.
Andy's conference, will we get an email? You said it's just on Facebook.
You're going to get it. You're going to get an email today. It's going to be on the Facebook page. You're going to get an email probably on Monday. Again, look for it. It'll be all over the place. If you're in anywhere in touch, go to the website. You'll see it. Make sure you're on Andy's call, but it'll also be part of this when it comes out to you. And the attachment for this will be on that. So again, I'll attach the ad that Andy's running so you can register. Okay. All right, everybody. Nothing else?
How about, is it 10 o'clock Tuesday? That's
Yes.
Central Time.
10 o'clock Central Time, correct?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, everybody, look for the, again, all the other information. If you're not getting to the conference, still get yourself there. I promise you, it'll be an investment you'll be glad you made. And if there's nothing else, I'm going to wish you all to go out and create a great day, everyone.